Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. In this video we're going to be refinishing this old coffee table. It's been sitting around in my garage for over a year now, so I think it's time we get started on it. You can see the paint marks on it just from sitting around other projects, so let's get started. I always like to clean my projects before I do anything with them, so grab some mineral spirits and a cloth and start wiping everything down. It's nice to have some painter's blocks under your project as well. It makes everything easier. I'll start sanding the top with 120 grit sandpaper with my random orbital sander. Go with the wood grain as best as you can. This reduces the chances of seeing scratches underneath your stain. By the way, if you're new here, hit that thumbs up and don't forget to subscribe for more videos just like this. Anyways, to get the hard corners here, I grabbed a sanding sponge and then wrapped a piece of sandpaper around it and just did it all by hand. Here's a little side-by-side comparison of before and after the sanding on the corners. You can see it's a nice bit of work. If you're sanding a coffee table with just a flat surface top, it's much easier. After sanding by hand, I'm just going to do a light sanding with 220 grit sandpaper all around the tabletop. Right, you can sand by hand on the edges, or you can grab your electric sander like I did about 2 minutes in. But you'll still have to sand by hand on the little detailed edge if your table has one. Before we start scuffing up the bottom of the table, we're going to take off this old hardware. It's recommended to do a little bit of sanding before you apply any paint. It just helps the paint hold on better to your project. Giving everything another wipe with the mineral spirits doesn't hurt. Keep your project clean throughout. Before painting, I'm using Rust-Oleum's flat primer, so I'm going to spray 2 light coats of that on. First, I'm just going to add a strip of tape across the edge here. I don't want to get any paint on it. Now it's time to spray on my first coat of primer. I'm going to be using 320 grit in between my coats of primer just to keep everything as smooth as possible. And yes, don't forget to wipe up the dust before you spray on the next coat of primer. Now let's spray on the second coat of primer and This can had plenty of paint left over even when I was done putting the second coat on. So you only need one can for a project this size. Also, the reason why I wanted to cover up this project with a lot of primer is because I thought that the type of wood would bleed, and I didn't want any bleeds on this one. Next, I'm using my 220 grit sanding sponge just to clean everything up before I start painting. I'm actually using the same paint products that I used in a recent video I did of a nightstand. Here's the video here if you want to check it out. I'm going to be applying this paint with a brush, so enjoy some of the process here of me painting. I'm doing a quick sanding with my 220 grit sand sponge just throughout the project to make sure everything's smooth in between coats. And of course, wipe that dust up. You're probably wondering why I'm not fully painting the front face of the drawer. I'm actually going to sand them down to the wood and stain them like I did in the nightstand project. But anyways, apply your second coat of paint, and then we are going on to stain at the top. There was still some dust on top of the table, so I grabbed my mineral spirits and just did another clean down before we start staining. I'm using this classic gray Minwax stain. I got it for $3. Pretty good deal. I'm applying this just with a piece of microfiber cloth I had. Anything, you can use a brush, an old rag. Just make sure it doesn't have any dirt or anything coming off when you're applying it. Finally, I took a clean rag and just wiped off the surface. Just took my time. There wasn't much extra stain on top, it kind of just sunk into the wood. So now I'm using my sander to start sanding down the front face of the fake drawers. After priming the project, I changed my mind and decided I was going to do what I did on the nightstand, so that's why I didn't tape off the front face of the drawer like I did in the nightstand video. After taking a few layers off with my electric sander, I decided to take out the sanding sponge and sand down so I wouldn't go through the thin layer of veneer. Now a quick wipe before we start staining it. Now I'm going to add a bit of stain to my rag again and just stain down the front parts of the drawer. Since I want the top of my table to be a little bit darker, I'm going to add another layer of stain. So here we go. After letting it sit for a few minutes, you can wipe it off to your desired look. Since I thought the paint was a little bit too light for my liking, I am doing some antique glazing, which is a process where you wipe stain on over the paint and then wipe it off right after. Instead of buying new hardware for this project, I'm just going to sand this one down and apply some shiny silver gray hammered Rust-Oleum paint. It's got a pretty cool effect. When applying this paint, you need to spray a lot. It's not your typical spray paint. If you spray a light coat, it won't do the hammered effect that you're looking for. Typically I use lacquer spray, but now I'm going to use this Behr clear coat. We're just going to spray back and forth over the tabletop and the entire project for the top coat protection. It's recommended to spray at least 3 top coats of this product, so I'm going to do 4 just to be safe. So let's look at the coffee table one more time, what it looked like before. And now here's what the coffee table looks like after. If you guys like this video, please hit that thumbs up and don't forget to subscribe. I'll have more videos coming out soon. Thanks for watching.